Guide me among those whom thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what thou hast judged. Surely thou judgest, and none can judge against thee, and he whom thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art thou, O Lord, and exalted be thee above what they set up besides thee. I bear witness, nothing deserved to be served besides thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Peace be unto you, and welcome to the MOEToday series on Black Muslim businesses. Y'all get on up in here because we got a powerful God coming to talk to you today. He's going to talk to us about his journey as a God. And so just sit back and relax. Get on in the room. I'm going to show you a clip so that you can connect him, because he definitely is an Instagram social media influencer. So I want you to connect that, and then I'll be right back. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings, family. Y'all already know, man, it's Knowledge 5845 on the gram. Author determined to change, as you can see. Becoming an author, man, is one of the greatest gifts that God has allowed me to do. And I want to be able to give back. And I want to be able to share some of my testimonies, share some of my experiences that I went through while I was in prison, even coming home, having to readapt to society. It's so many Genesis that we have, and a Genesis is a beginning. So it wasn't just one Genesis. When you read the scriptures, it talks about a Genesis. But when you look at your personal life, there are many Genesis that we have to conquer. And I want to be able to share with you and your family members, because I know it's people that you know, that you love, that has been incarcerated and probably still are incarcerated. But I want to be able to help you and share with you some of the things that I've went through, so you will be able to be strong enough and to be able to elevate your spirit, to be able to conquer anything that you go through. Peace.
You belong to yourself. You're an independent people, created from the nation of free people. Yes, sir. You don't need to go nowhere but to yourself. Yes, sir. There will be a great separation. Yes, sir. So I said, it is on now.
The college is meant to prepare you for your future. That the time dictates that if we don't do something for ourselves as a people, we will be destroyed. And the aim of the enemy right now is to take us out.
God with us. We held him as our guide. Yes, sir. We don't have to stand around here and ask the question, what must be done? Yes, sir. Get up and let's go and do something. Yes, sir. We cannot sit down. We cannot lay down. Yes, sir. We must get up. Yes, sir. And go to work.
Do you know what real joy is in life? Visioning something and bringing it into reality. That's real joy. Do you know what the next step in joy is? Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell in unity.
Tonight, you need to fasten your seatbelts. We're going to hear from some of the greatest minds in the world. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of trusting our future and the future of our children into the hands of those who don't love us. I believe we need to revitalize black leadership.
Man, we're black, and you're tuned into the MOEToday series on Black Muslim businesses. And like I said, I'm going to jump right into it because we have a powerful conversation today that we're going to have with my brother Winfred X. I'm going to bring him in. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, sister.
Brother Winfred, I'm so excited to have you here. Ma'am. We've been knowing each other, about 2 years?
Yes, and ma'am.
I want to publicly tell everybody how humble you are. And I've been butchering your name, probably because that ain't really your name. I'm just going to put that out there. Yeah. I've been butchering Winfred. I think I called you Winfred. I don't know. And
you call me Winston.
Yeah, Winston, but you never said anything. And it took Brother Ben to go, Auntie, his name is Winfred. All this time we talking, and we've had all these really deep conversations.
Yes, ma'am.
I got it right. I got it today. I got it together. And I just want to thank you for your humility. I want to thank you for your journey. I want to let you know that I respect and honor you as a black man and as a God. And if there's anything today on this show that you don't want to share, you don't have to. But if it's something that I miss and you want to share, I want you to make sure that you do that as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Praise be to Allah. So listen. When I saw your book, I was so excited, determined to change. And, let me tell you what I thought of. I thought about how we grow up with certain conditions that create a certain environment, that then we make choices, and then we end up in a situation, could be a good one, could be a bad one. You ended up at a young age, and I'm calling this your journey as a God. Because I don't want you to be defined by the brother who was in jail. This is just your journey that Allah chose for you to reveal what he wanted to communicate, through you. So you, on your journey, there were conditions that were set up. You end up in jail at 19. What happened? How did you get there?
First of all, let me open up, please, and just in respect. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger and exalted Christ. And I further bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the extension of the Son of Man. I would like to greet every brother and sister with the greeting words of peace, which we say in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, thank you for having me on your show. Very honored, very humble to be here. This is a one in a lifetime opportunity. I've always, seen you and observed you from afar, and to actually have the opportunity to meet you was a confirmation of being on the right journey and being around, different believers, and having an opportunity to come and see the house of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and be able to just get that feeling, and for me to be a part of that. Allah doesn't make any mistakes. So I'm humble. Thank you again for allowing me to be on your show. But to just go into it, at 19 years old, yes, growing up in a hostile environment, neighborhood.
Yeah.
It was gang infested and it was drug infested.
Mm-hmm.
But it was not. I always had my father. My father and my mother, when they divorced, I ended up going with my dad and my sister and my other brother, which were both were older than me. They went with my mother.
Okay.
And at the age of 6, real quick, is when my mom and my dad divorced.
Okay.
And I remember, naturally, as a child, you would love to go with the mother.
Mm-hmm.
I love both of my parents, but having to experience that breakup and that's divorce and that split, it split me. And that's why it's always very important about family. This is why in the nation we teach family is very, very important. Marriage is very important because the repercussions of the divorce, it damages the children.
Mm-hmm.
And I did see that, and it split me. And I went with my father. But the only reason why I went with my father is because in the courts, my dad fought for me, to come with him. And he told the judge that, it's my job to teach him how to be a man, and the judge granted that. And at that time, I didn't understand.
Is this in Texas, Brother Wendy?
Yes, ma'am. This is in Texas. This was in Dallas, Texas, actually. Yes, ma'am.
Got it. Okay.
And at that time, I didn't understand, but I went with my dad, and that was the best thing that ever happened to me. I still believe, even though I ended up going to prison, because the relationship that was built between him and I is priceless. Even today, it's priceless. So I just wanted to say that. But at 19 years old, yes, ma'am, I ended up going to a federal penitentiary for armed bank robbery, for multiple bank robberies. And guns were involved. And every time I tell this, it hits me even more, because at the time you're doing something, you don't think about the consequences or the repercussions, even when your life is in the balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And being shaped in that environment and being shaped in iniquity, didn't understand this until later, of course.
Yeah.
But being shaped in that, normalizes your everyday life. Not knowing that your life is in a balance between life and death, but to you, the way that you're shaped is normal. It's normal. It's normalized.
This is part of what your environment takes place, and it's okay. I got it.
Yes, absolutely. So, going in at that age, because of the things that I've seen growing up. My father was always a man of independency. He was a man of work. He always worked to provide for him and I. But at times when he would go to work, that's my time to play. That's my time to be able to search things that I was curious that I seen in my eyes, with my eyes, and being in these different places and seeing all these drug infested places and seeing the gangs. It was exciting. Being young, and my father tried to get me all the video games to keep me occupied, so I wouldn't be going out and meeting these different people due to the environment that we was living in.
Because that became more exciting than the video game.
Absolutely, because remember, you got to remember this. Even though I'm getting video games, as a child, you still want to be able to play with other people. You still want to be able to get involved with video games with other people. So my dad would not allow me to have company with the guys where I lived at. And so that took a toll, because, hey, you giving me all what I want, you giving me my necessities, you give me the things that I desire as a child. I had all those things, but to not understand the meaning of, or the importance of, protecting me from what we was around and my environment is around. As a child, at 10 years old, 11, 12 years old, all you want to do is play video games. You see that stuff, but you don't understand it.
I understand.
At that time. So, and this is what happened. So I played sports, and I did all these things. I traveled. I done a lot of things as a child and as a teenager. but the environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan once said that no matter how good may be in you, he says the environment produces heredity.
Mm-hmm.
And your environment can trump,
Mm-hmm.
the good that's in you, because it will turn you into itself.
Yes.
And I didn't understand that. I mean, I see it clearly today and see it now, but then that's exactly what happened. I was being shaped and I was turned into the environment. And my dad, being a grown man and understanding and having wisdom that I didn't have, he was trying to provide for him and I. And it was times where he had to leave me so he could work. And now I'm exposed to so much curiosity. Mm-hmm. And I got into certain things and I started to smoke. I didn't want to be left out, the peer pressure. That's real. Mm-hmm. A lot of time we water that down, but the reality of peer pressure is very real, and it's a major influence unconsciously. You're wrapped up in it, but you don't understand it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what happened, because as I started to grow, 15, 16 years old, being around my guys from the neighborhood, their moms were on crack. They didn't know their fathers. So they would stay out. They didn't have any parental guidance to tell them, hey, be in the house when the street light come on. So I had all of this organized in my household with my father. I had rules and regulations. But when I would see my friends outside at 10 o'clock, 11, 12 o'clock at night, 1, 2 in the morning, to me, it was fun.
Yeah.
And
let me jump in and say something.
Yes,
I was having a conversation with my mother and talk about conditions being set up. We were talking about, like my mom's generation, those baby boomers who they were the first ones to go out there, go to work, have jobs, and so pretty much what they did with us was get in the house, put this key around your neck, get in there, sit down, watch TV, and don't bother nobody. But that left a large group of us to go out and get on drugs.
Absolutely.
And then that group then is having children that are then following in that footsteps. So the condition was set up really shortly after the departure of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Where now, instead of Black and I'm proud, it's go to work, get a big, have a big house, do all of this. But now you're producing children who are straight prey to these drug mongers. And that's what you're really speaking to, being a product of a condition that was set up around you.
Of course. And yeah, it was like I said, it was normal to me.
Yeah.
It was my home, it was my friends, this was my turf. Sort to say. And didn't want to get left behind. Everybody's smoking weed. When it's passed to me, I don't want to be the one left out. So you take your puff and you start to get high, and you feel that feeling of never felt before, and you want to become a part of that.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. I became a part of it. And I always wanted to be around my guys, but not knowing that they were in real deep situations where they didn't have any parental guidance. They didn't see their mothers for 3 and 4 days or weeks because their moms were, on crack and on drugs. And they had to take care of 3 and 4 more people in their family. And they're the oldest in the family. They're 15 and they have 2 and 3 more other siblings up under them. And to me, I didn't understand it. So it was fun. Man, y'all get to stay outside till 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, man, and I would be out, I would still be up sometimes, and I would be at my window and they would be talking to me from my window, and that kind of built a wedge between me and my dad. And as I went to school and I started to get into it, because I started claiming the neighborhood, and, I didn't want to be left out. I didn't want to be called weak, or I didn't want to be called, oh man, you ain't repping the hood. So I fell right into that. and I found myself fighting at school. I ended up getting kicked out, and I had to go to an alternative school. And I remember my dad saying, "What's gotten into you? What's going on with you?" And at this time, I probably was like 17. And I ended up going to an alternative school, and I just never. It was like I said, it was normal.
Yeah.
And when my dad would ask me what was wrong with me or this and that, it made me angry because it continued to build a wedge between him and I. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What's wrong with me? Oh, I'm doing, you hanging with these guys, So I'm saying to myself, who else can I hang with? Who else can I hang with? So I was jeopardizing not being able to graduate on time. So I had to go to, after the alternative school, he ended up taking me to a whole nother school and across town. But one thing about the mind, a lot of time we try to change our environments physically, and we abort or we overlook
the mind,
changing the mind, right? Mentally and spiritually. I didn't have that. So I went to a whole nother school in a whole nother part of town, and I was able to link up with those guys because I knew them too. I knew a lot of people in the street. So I knew them too. So I started running with them. And as I started running with them, they were a blood gang. And it was exciting. So I became affiliated with all of my guys that was, blood gang members. I was affiliated with them. So I became one of them. But where I stayed at was Crips.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a Crip neighborhood. But I never participated in Crip activities with my friends that I grew up with.
I see.
So right. So when I went to school over across town and I started becoming affiliated with Bloods, and I still stayed in the Crip neighborhood, a lot of my friends that I grew up with were saying, "How did this happen? How did you become a Blood? And how did you get affiliated with them? And you grew up with us?" So there was another wedge of this. There was another conflict that was brewing.
Yes.
So now I don't think about all this until I'm in prison, just having the opportunity thinking about all this stuff. When I'm actually going through it, again, like I said, it was normal. So I'm like, man, and I found myself in situations where God was taking me out of them. I found myself in life and death situations, shootouts, and just going into different territories where I knew I wasn't welcome.
Did you feel like Allah was with you, like some force was with you?
Yeah, I did. I did. I did because I said this on one of my lives before. I didn't know, of course, Allah as I know it today. But the reality of God is always in your existence anyway. So therefore, I remember when some of my guys would come to me and say, "Hey, we just got into it with so-and-so now. We're going to get out of the car and go into their neighborhood on feet. Yes, we got guns." But it was a couple of times I went. But most times there was something in me that was saying, "Don't go." Like, no, I mean, you can't, now if we driving or something, yeah, I'll do it. But hold on, you said we finna get out and walk in. No, I'm not doing that. Yeah. So yes, that was the God in me, because there was a decision that had to be made. And I thank Allah today that I made those decisions to say, no, I can't go. But I would provide them guns, and I would give them guns. Me and my guy, we had a lot of guns, and I would just give them certain stuff to say, "Hey, y'all go take care of it," or whatever. And that's the life that I started to live. And I remember when I started selling weed, I started selling pounds of weed. And I remember.
Was that money? Like, cause now you're estranged from your dad, right?
Yeah, I'm still living with him, and I end up graduating. I graduated in the summertime.
Okay.
I had to graduate in the summer. I couldn't walk with my class because I was still behind on certain credits. And this was due to, man, at this time, my senior year, I didn't have to go to school but half a day. So I'm leaving school, I'm selling weed, and I'm going from this house to this house. We're just seniors, we're having fun. And I didn't graduate on time, so I had to graduate in the summertime. So after that happened, after I graduated, I was already saturated in the streets.
I see.
So yeah, so after I graduated, this just gave me full access.
Yeah, because now you have to go to school.
Yeah, now I don't have to go to school.
Answer, and now you start trying to figure out how do I make money so I can further do what I want.
Exactly, because college was just a mention, but it was never a reality to me.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a reality to me. My reality was shaped in, okay, we got into it with them over there. Okay, I see these guys over here, they getting the money over here. I need to see how they getting that bag. I being a young, attractive man, young teenager, all the women are pulling me left and right. Mm-hmm. And so that's a distraction. Mm-hmm. So just you got so much coming at you at one time.
So now you caught up.
Yeah, I'm caught up. I'm just out there. And I remember I got into a shootout one time, and I was picking up the mother of my child. She was pregnant at the time with my first son. And I remember she was walking to the car. She was coming out of the store, and some guys that I had got into it with 3 or 4 years had went by. They seen me, and they approached the car. And as I'm waiting for her to come to the car, I get out the car. One of my partners is with me. He get out of the passenger seat. Now my gun is under my seat. So when I get out, he's approaching with his guys, and he's saying, what are you doing up here? It's their territory, but we haven't beefed in years. And so as I see them approach, my guy is starting to argue back and forth with their guys, and I'm telling him, hey, not today, not right here. And they pull out a big old gun, man. Dude just pull out a gun on me, and dude is looking at me, telling me, he said, I'll kill you right now. And so now it just turned just like that. It's real between life and death again.
Life is in the balance.
Right. My life is in the balance. So I'm very afraid. I'm very scared. I'm nervous. So I'm trying to get back in the car. My son's mother is pregnant at the time. She's walking. She sees this. And my guy gets back in the car on the passenger side. So I get back in the car. The guy let me get back in the car. Now, my tint on my window was up, and he gets close to the window. And as I closed the door, he told me to leave. He said, man, leave. And I said, well, man, I'm trying to wait on my son's mom, my baby mother. And so I knew that they wasn't going to allow this to happen. So they was like, man, you need to get up out of here. So when the dude looked up, he's looking around. It's broad daylight. He's looking around to see if there is any police around. And that split second, I'm watching him. And as he looked up and he was looking around, I closed my door and I just hit the drive and I sped off. And as soon as I sped off, he shot in the window. He shot in the window. By the tint being on the window, it didn't break the glass. The bullet came straight through the window, and it just hit the inside of my floor on the car.
Yeah. And
I left. I drove off, and now I'm seeing everybody starting to run. It's broad daylight.
Is mom in the car with you?
No, she's not. I left.
You left?
I had to leave. And as I'm driving off, I can hear the gunshots. And they starting to hit my car, and my car is rocking. He's literally hitting the car. Mm-hmm. And just in that split second, I said, man, damn, it's life and death. But a lot of anger came through me. It rushed through me just that much because I'm thinking about her, and it rushed through me. So I'm driving, but I'm still trying to look and see where I'm going, but I'm reaching for my gun. And the gun is, I'm trying to drive, and I'm trying to drive, and he's still shooting. So when I finally grabbed the gun, I stopped the car and I started shooting. I started shooting back
Okay.
at him. It's broad daylight. I'm shooting back at him. I get out, I'm shooting at him. And it seemed like a Matrix movie. Because he's shooting at me, it's broad daylight. I can see the fire on the bullets, and I can see the bullets doing this. And I'm shooting back at him. And it was just.
And you never got shot?
No.
Praise be to Allah.
No, I never did.
So let me ask you this. I'm listening to that, and it's reminding me of a conversation I was having with a friend of mine, and I was asking him about somebody, and I said, "What is wrong with them?" He said, "You have to remember that you have the teachings, but they don't. So they're running out of future. Mm-hmm. So they're starting to act and conduct themselves in a way as if they have no future."
Right.
At what point did you take a turn and start to think about your future?
Well, honestly, I didn't think about my future until I was already in prison.
Okay.
When I was on the street, I never really thought about, what's going to be happening 5 years from now. Like I said, I was saturated with everyday life. Every day was exciting.
So you're just acting in the moment based on what's happening now.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. The thing we're trying to do is get the money. Yeah. We're not worried about what, we're not setting up any plans, any business. We're not striving to even see that far. All we want is the money. And because if we know we can get the money, then the materialistic things can come in abundance. And of course, a lot of guys get the money because the women are there. The women are very attractive. And if you get the money, here they come. They're coming. So, that was a circle of life. That was a circle of life. Going to the clubs or going to the mall, being able to blow a bag and be able to cop a nice car and, flash some money, shoot dice in the hood. And, that was the life. That was it.
Life, yeah.
That was it. That was it. So, but yeah, that ended up happening. I left my son's mother, and when I caught back up with her, she was someone took her home, and just it was a lot of chaos. My car was shot up. Like I said, I didn't get hit, and after that happened, me and a couple of my guys, we didn't want that to end there, so we were literally plotting on how we were going to expire this person. Mm-hmm. And we actually went to their place of abode where they hang out at night and was walking on feet. And I was strapped and they were strapped. But this whole time, I'm not conscious of the reality of God. But Allah is seeing something in me saying, I know what you know not. Mm-hmm. So that happened, and I never caught up with the guy. I never seen him. 2 weeks later is when I got incarcerated. I was incarcerated 2 weeks later on my federal case. And it was me versus the United States of America.
Allah saved your life.
Absolutely.
He saved your life. So now you're in prison. When did you become determined to change?
I'm in prison. 19 years old.
They sentenced you with 10 years?
They sentenced me to 17 and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, 210 months.
Okay.
Okay. In the feds, they don't sentence you by years. They sentence you by months.
Okay.
And I ended up getting 17 and a half years, and I did 15 flat on it. 15 years, from 19 years old to 34. But when I first got incarcerated, I was 19. And the word knowledge, born, when you talk about supreme mathematics, is 1 and 9. Mm-hmm. So 1 is knowledge and 9 is born, which can also be complete. So therefore, all this started happening, being determined, all this started happening when I came into the life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, guided and taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I was already Muslim. I was Sunni Muslim. I became Sunni
Why
Muslim.
you incarcerated?
Yes, ma'am. I became Sunni Muslim. When I first got locked up and got my time, my first cellmate was a guy was from New York. His name was Naheem. He was a 5%er. That's the first brother that introduced me to the book Message to the Black Man.
Okay.
And naturally, I ended up getting with the Bloods when I was in prison as well, because I didn't, prison is so political. Everything is politics. You can't go into a prison atmosphere or a prison setting by yourself saying, hey, I don't claim anything. I'm not with nothing. You won't make it.
I see.
So it has to be something that you have to be initiated to, or you have to be recruited to. So everything is ran more smooth and simple when everybody is placed somewhere.
Mm-hmm. You got to attach yourself to something.
Right. You're attaching yourself to something. Now in a lower prison, maybe not. But when you talk about being in the penitentiary, you gotta. It's politics. You have different gangs and everything like that. So naturally, I attached myself to the Bloods, and I was affiliated with them. Knew a few people in prison, and I was very young, 19 years old, 150 pounds.
Baby.
6 feet. And everybody would say that. Everybody would look at me and say, "Man, how old are you? You look like you're 12 years old." And I didn't understand, Sister Sajdah. I cried every night when I got locked up. I cried.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said, how did I get myself into this situation? Mm-hmm. And I never forget when I got sentenced. Not when I got sentenced, but when I first got locked up, I was trying to get a bond, and they wouldn't give me a bond, and they said you was a flight risk. Well, I remember all of my family being in the courtroom, and my father was there, my brother was there, and my mother, my grandmother, my sister, and my son's mother, she was there. All the women was crying, but my dad, I could hear him saying to me, "Be a man, be a man." He said, "Stand up, you're gonna be all right." He said, "Be a man." And I was so numb because I couldn't feel anything. My life was like, it's over. Mm-hmm. I can't believe I'm about to go to a prison for years.
Mm-hmm.
You're not thinking about, come on, I'm 19 years old and I just get sentenced to 17 and a half years. I can't see that far.
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
So the 19 is very significant to me. 19 is a very significant number because when I thought that my life was over, my life was really just beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of times spiritually, we don't understand that until we come into a higher knowledge, into a higher wisdom, into a higher curriculum of a formula that we can be able to think about that. And so I did. I read the Message to the Black Man when I first came in. And but my mind was still on being affiliated with a blood gang.
I see. You didn't.
It didn't register.
Okay, got it.
It didn't register at that point. But as I look back now, and I said, Allah started the journey.
But the seed was dropped.
The seed was dropped. It was germinating.
Mm-hmm.
Even with me being unconscious of it germinating. Mm-hmm. It was germinating.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up becoming Sunni Muslim.
Okay.
I became Sunni Muslim. I learned my prayers in Arabic. I became the muezzin. I was calling the adhan. I called the adhan.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. I called the adhan for 7 years. And I was actually in the Sunni community for 7 years. Every Ramadan we had. And I remember going to the Bloods. I did 14 months in the hole. 14 months in the hole. They put me in the hole for 14 months. I got into a situation with a police officer and he called me a nigger. And I was 20, was 22 years old at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I was 22 years old. To actually hear this big old white officer, redneck, snuff spitting, it just called me a nigger. I had never experienced that. And at that particular time, I knew it was real. And I said, what have I got myself into?
Yeah.
And they ended up locking me up because we had words, but he lied on me and said that I threatened to kill him. And I never said that. So they put me under investigation at 22 years old. So I'm in the hole 14 months just being investigated. My first 3 months in the hole felt like I was going to die. Felt like I wanted to just give up. Couldn't talk on the phone. I'm worried about my father because I know he's wondering why I haven't called home.
Mm-hmm.
But he ended up calling the prison after like 2 weeks of not hearing from me. And they came back there and told me, your father called up here wondering why you haven't called. That's stressful.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I can't talk to him. So I'm really going, I'm going crazy behind here. So I'm in a cell by myself, but it's other people, inmates in their cells surrounding. We're on a hallway.
Okay.
Now, I didn't understand it then, Sister Sajdah, but I understand it now. I was freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
And other guys in the cells was telling me, hey, you're going to be all right. Calm down, youngster.
Mm-hmm.
Calm down. You're going to be all right. We're going to show you how to do this back here. Those was angels.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the angels
Mm-hmm.
that God was saying, I send them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it yet.
Yeah.
But as I came into the teachings and as I started to continue to develop, it seemed like my life just started replaying and allowed me to come all the way back up as I was starting to do the time and I'm learning about the teachings. But yes, it's man, it's amazing.
The beautiful thing is I'm listening to you because I really, really wanted people to just experience. This is just a snippet of your story.
Right.
But I literally can see Allah's hand on you. You don't
Absolutely.
know it.
Yes, ma'am.
Acknowledge it. But then you go in and you go deep into your Islam and you start to study. And now look at you. You're a teacher. We got to get you out there speaking.
Yes,
about
ma'am.
your journey. You're an author.
Praise be to Allah.
Hold that back up. I just want you to take that in for a moment. You wrote a book, and this ain't the first one, or this ain't the last one.
This ain't the last one. Actually, I have another book that I just finished it, and it's being proofread and making sure that everything is being cleaned up on it. And yeah, that's it's going to be many books, and because I truly believe, Sister Sajdah, that our personal testimonies are not just for us, they're for multitudes of people.
I agree 100% about that.
Yes, ma'am.
All the time. I said stuff that I've been through, even rewards that I have, is my responsibility to share that and help somebody come up. Tell us what life lessons you hope that, especially young boys, get out of your book, Determined to Change.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Very, very profound question. More than anything, I hope they get out of this book is being able to give themselves an opportunity to come into the life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, guided and taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I had to be introduced to that reality of God through my situation.
Yes.
But that experience,
yes,
I don't want them to have to experience it to get that the way that I did.
So accessing these teachings.
Yes.
Which, there's so much greatness in the teachings, but one of the greatest things is understanding
Yes.
God is a man.
Yes.
And
that's the first thing.
And giving you your future.
Yes.
Because I see future all on you. You see people in the chat, they can't wait to learn more about your journey. We got to get you booked on speaking engagements. You need to be in schools. You need to be working.
Yes, ma'am.
Working.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Speak. You need a whole show where you and brothers who have gone through what you're going through. And I'm sorry, I'm interrupting your question, but my brain is just going.
No. Brother. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Go ahead.
You need a show. You need all of that to come together with other brothers like yourself and to share your stories and to show, because I say this with all due respect, no one expects you to be here.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
And be where you are right now. But you're here.
Yes, ma'am.
And look at what you're doing. I'm familiar with the work that you do.
Yes, ma'am.
And I already told you this, and I'm going to say this to you public. You might not remember that when we do some of our talks in Sajdah House, I want you to come and lead those discussions.
Yes, ma'am.
So that we can share with the world what these life-giving teachings do for people. Because you said you was in a hole and you really had lost hope, but not to say that a lot of people don't have that story, but I know where you are today.
Yes, ma'am.
As an author, as a father, as a brother, as a Muslim on your journey. And I just pray that you don't look at this as nothing other than this was just part of your journey as a God.
Yes, ma'am. And it's I will say being determined to change. I didn't come up with this title no time during my prison bid. I got out in 2015, and I had been studying the teachings since 2008, the life-giving teachings.
Okay.
Since 2008. And the first lecture that I heard from the minister ever was The Origin of Blackness. And I started to cry. As I started listening to him. I was in a chapel in the prison. And I started to cry. And those tears were representations of so many emotions.
Yeah.
It was tears of
just release.
Oh, it absolutely. It was yes, ma'am. It was tears of pain. It was tears of joy. It was tears of confirmation. It was tears of just being able to relax. It was tears of something saying, welcome home.
Yes.
A void was filled.
Yes.
But it didn't stop there.
Uh-oh. It looks like my brother froze. Looked like your internet froze, Brother Winfrey, but that's okay because I want everybody to go out and make sure.
Okay.
Okay, you back. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
Real quick while you're talking, give me the website where we can get the book.
I have been locked up 15 years, so just to be incarcerated for 15 years and to come home, I still had a lot of things that were remember, from 19 to 34.
Yeah.
And I like to tell people this. It doesn't matter how many books you read while you're incarcerated. You're going to have to reintroduce yourself again once you're released from prison.
Now you come out, you're battling those triggers. And
yes.
Not having money.
Yes. And, having to get a job, having to, get a warehouse job or, making $11, $12 an hour. And I was surrounded around teenagers. I was around 19, 20-year-old people just graduating high school. 18, 17.
But
And
you 34,
I'm 34 years old. I'm 34, but once I came back to society, the reality of it was I was about 20, 21, 22 myself.
I see.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, yes, I'm older in age, but even my appearance, people thought I was 23, 24. They thought I was.
You probably look so young.
Right. They thought I was around their age.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until that time I was able to see a lot of areas in my life where I was undeveloped. But I also seen, as I started to talk to people about the teachings, where I was developed.
I see. You had started some spiritual development that was allowing you to advance, but physically I could see.
Right.
Most people come home from prison, they look young, they ain't stressed out, they ain't out here.
Right.
I know that's hard in prison, but usually you come out looking younger. While you talking these last few minutes, give me the website where we can get the book.
It is determinedtochange.org.
It's two with a two or a T-O?
It's with a 2.
Oh,
determined to change.org. Yes.
Okay. I want everybody to go out here and get my brother's book. Listen, this should be your next keynote speaker at your school. You need to bring him in for that. Listen, nobody can teach like Muhammad's ministers. I'm going to just say that to you right now. So brother is just telling a story, but he's giving us a little taste of who he is and what he is. And I want to have you back. We're going to do some other things.
Absolutely.
But I also want to emphasize how important the Final Call newspaper and the books going into the prisons.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's very important. I have a relative that is incarcerated. I just bought him a subscription. And I just want to make sure that he has those words and those teachings, while he's there, something to help him. And so I just want to thank you. Like I told you,
yes, ma'am.
I respect you and I honor you.
Thank you.
As a brother striving to become a God. I got your back. I told you that.
Ma'am.
2 years ago. I'm telling you again now, if there's anything I can do to support, to help, and I am going to, inshallah, have you there at the house to lead some of these discussions, because people don't understand that were it not for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad being falsely incarcerated,
come on now,
prison ministry.
Come on now, that's right.
Churches and chapels in the prison.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
If it wasn't for his wife, Mother Clara, writing the verses of the Holy Quran on strips of paper and mailing them to him, there'd be no prison ministries. So I just want us to also understand and acknowledge the contribution of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to this process, and look at you benefiting some almost in the 30s, 40s, some 50, 60 years later. It's absolutely incredible. So I honor you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your journey. And, let me know when you want to do a part 2, but I want everybody to go out here and get determinedtochange.org. Go to determinedtochange.org. This is his book. Hold your book up again, brother.
Yes, ma'am. And let me say before
go ahead with some last few words.
But before we exit, I want everybody to understand that becoming an author was definitely a great achievement for myself, but it never could have been done without this. I used to get these when I was in prison. A lot of things that was going on in my personal life, a lot of things that was going on with family that I couldn't help, I had no control over. I couldn't be supportive. This is what gave me a soothing. This is what gave me relief in the midst of the difficulty. In the Quran, it says that Allah gives you ease in the midst of difficulty.
Yes.
And this was my ease. This was we get these in the prisons, and we get them every week, just like we do out here. And every time I would get a final call from week to week, it would allow me to measure myself from week to week, because you see so much being in prison, lockdowns and just dealing with the pushback, being a black man in prison.
Mm-hmm.
You see the politics going on, and you see the corruptness. But if it wasn't for this,
Yes,
that's why I'm always saying, this is great. This is great. But Allah says that your gift will make room for you.
Yes.
So therefore, like I said, if it wasn't for the life-giving teachings, for me to be able to understand that God is a human being first, now that puts the mirror in front of me, that puts the self-improvement in front of me, directly to me. So I wouldn't never been able to accomplish that if it wasn't for the Nation of Islam.
Give me one last description of the feeling of receiving that final call newspaper. Just how did you feel in your heart? I know it gave you something to measure, but
yes,
how did you feel as you look forward to it and as you received it while you were incarcerated?
I feel like I was a part of something great.
Yes.
I felt that I honestly belong.
Mm-hmm.
We can be a part of certain things, and we can come in on this and still be smiling, but not feel that you belong.
Mm-hmm.
But when I came into this, even though I wasn't registered at that time, because I didn't get registered until I came home and everything.
Right.
But just to still understand that, registered or not, the process of getting closer to Allah, that's why I always tell people, don't be so down on a person because they're not registered.
So the process of resurrection begins.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And it started with this. It started with the final call, and me being able to listen to the minister and listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, look at How to Eat to Live, look at study the number 19 with Sister Mother Tanetta Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with her.
Yes.
Looking at Brother Jabril, the Closing of the Gap, his section, all of that, just breaking that down and having this and being able to get it every week, it made me feel a part of the Nation of Islam. And to me, honestly, I tell people this as I close, Sister Sajdah, is that the greatest gift that I ever received was not my children. I have two beautiful sons. But the greatest gift that I could ever receive was being able to be chosen to come into the life-giving teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, guided and taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Brother Winford, this is the first show where through the entire show, I've been holding back tears. I'm not going to let them go, but I just want you to know that how grateful you see people in the chat. That's why I'm showing you those comments.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you're showing us your heart and you're showing us your journey and you're just putting it out there. And I just pray that Allah is pleased and that He continues to bless you over and over and over and over again. And I just thank you for your
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. I told y'all this was going to be one of the most powerful shows ever with my Brother Winford. Hopefully you get a new name soon so I don't have to remember if it Winford or Winston. It took me 2 years to get it right.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
But determined to change.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I even think when you do your we're gonna have a separate session because I'm thinking about your individual public speaking.
Yes, ma'am.
I would love to have people hear you do the call to prayer because I know how deep you are.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I know how Allah, His hand is on you, and so whatever I can do to help you get that word out there, you just let me know. You know how to reach me.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. Thank you, Sister Sajdah.
Yes, sir. And inshallah, we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Woo! Thank you all. I told y'all that was going to be an action-packed show. Really action-packed. And this is what this beautiful work that this man, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is doing. Resurrecting people, bringing people through difficult times. There's a long list of his accomplishments, a very long list. And we can't even list them, but that is one of them. Just helping brothers like that in their darkest hour, being there for them, giving them a word when they didn't even know that he even existed. This is why, scrolling across the bottom of the page here, support the completion of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House. Go to SajdahHouseDonations.com. It's so very important because I want you all to learn about this man who produced brothers like that, who after being sentenced at 19 years old for 17 and a half years, after living a life, he described his journey, a life cloaked in iniquity, as he calls it. Look at the production. Look at that. So with that, family, I'm going to ask that you please go out and support the completion of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House. Make sure you help us get this done because there's more stories like that. And yeah, he just brought me to tears. So, all right, peace and blessings, family. We will see you all. No manifestation class tomorrow. I'm going to the Power Networking Conference. So if you have not registered, you can still do so virtually. It's also going to be in Houston. So if you want to be in person, I think I am speaking on Saturday, I think I'm on Saturday. But anyway, go out there, get registered. You can attend virtually Power Networking Conference, Houston, Texas. But I'll do some lives and I'll come back. So stay close to the social media and we'll go from there. Whew. All right. Let me get myself together because I got some more meetings to go to. This brother done messed me up. All right. Praise be to Allah. We're grateful for him. And I will talk to you all soon, inshallah. Peace and blessings.
You belong to yourself. You're an independent people, created from the nation of free people.
Yes, sir.
You don't need to go nowhere but to yourself.
Yes,
So the challenge is an education that enlivens us to do business. Business is the activity of life itself. Every creature is born with the inherent ability to attract out of this material earth what it needs to perpetuate its species.